What's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and today, my friends, I'm going to be highlighting one of my favorite legendary tank builds that I love to use in the game. Now, I put out this build probably a month ago, but I was getting a lot of questions in regard to what is my favorite actual tank build, and the reason for that is right now this week at the Clan Vendor and at Cassie Mendoza, there happen to be 12% protection from elite mods for sale. These are something I know a lot of people have been looking for tank builds like this, so if you do not have any, or if you haven't had any drop in the open world with a percentage this high, now is the time to pick them up. Now, if you happen to enjoy this video, do me a favor really quick, my friends, hit that like button. It really does help the channel out. We have a 300 like goal per video, and obviously you can feel free to subscribe or join as well. Now, most of you know we have giveaways here, but I will save that information until the end of the video. And once again, to be clear, this is a build that I highlighted last month. It's one that I'm still using today, so I wanted to once again show you one of my favorite ways to run it. You can see that you are a complete and total bullet sponge with this build. Now, I've put together legendary tank builds before, usually around the Foundry gear set. However, today I wanted to try something a little bit different, which brings me to a very important point, which is that this is just a template. This is one of so many different ways to put together a tank build like this. The most important thing is to truly take your time, make a build your own, and really cater the thing towards your game style. One more thing I'd like to mention as we get into the build breakdown is that none of these items are raid exclusive. There are a few PvP exclusive items, but the good thing is those items can also be located in named caches, which you can buy from the Countdown vendor. All you do is play Countdown a few rounds, you'll have enough to buy a named cache and hopefully get what you're looking for. So starting off with the specialization, we're using Technician for, the basic reasons. First of all, you're going to get that extra skill tier. Secondly, and this really helps out with legendary difficulty, it gives you a 12% damage bonus to drone skill proxies and robotics. And you'll also have the ability to use the Artificer Hive, which is going to tremendously help with your shield strength. I hope I said that right. But anyway, for those of you just jumping into legendary content, I strongly recommend using this combination. Now, another great option here would be Survivalist, because that will give you an extra 10% protection from elites. But remember, regardless of which specialization you choose, always have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% damage bonus regardless of which weapon you have equipped. Now, because I'm using my Bulwark Shield, most of the time I'm running with this build, my handgun is really my primary weapon. But my other two weapons, the first of which is an ACS-12 shotgun with the Talon Flatline, because with this specialization, it allows me to equip the linked laser pointer to both this shotgun and my SMG, which means every single enemy I target when I'm using those weapons, they're automatically pulsed, so I'm always getting that 15% weapon damage bonus. For my handgun, I'm using the Liberty pistol. This is the best handgun I have. I really love this thing. Now, if you have the Regulus, I strongly recommend using that, and if not, you do have other options as well. Now, when it comes to this weapon, you can see with the talent Liberty or Death, hits grant 2% weapon damage, stacks up to 30 times, headshots will consume all stacks, repairing your shield for 3% per stack. A few other options you can choose from are the D50 or the TDI card custom. Now, for both of these, I'd recommend using the Talon Close and Personal, where killing a target within 7 meters grants 30% weapon damage for 10 seconds. And always remember, with the TDI card, you're also going to get that extra skill tier, which can definitely help you out as well. Moving on to the gear itself, you can see I'm using the Catharsis mask, 2 Bellstone, 2 Richter and Kaiser, and 1 Murakami. Starting with the mask, like I said, it's the Catharsis. Now, for those of you that missed it in the last seasonal reward track, thankfully it is in the general loot pool, and the reason it's so effective is because of its talent Vicious Cycle, where taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 1% weapon damage, and taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. Moving on to the body armor, it's the first piece of Bellstone, which is going to give us that 1% armor regen, and I'm using the talent Intimidate. While you have bonus armor, gain 1 stack each second up to a max of 7. Each stack increases weapon damage by 5% to enemies within 10 meters, and pretty much with this build, you are usually right in the face of every NPC you come across, so that talent should be running pretty steadily. Now we make our way to the holster, And I'm using the named Forge holster by Richter and Kaiser for a few reasons. First of all, you're getting the 20% incoming repairs, but secondly, you can see you have 50% shield health, and because you're always in the face of NPCs and they're pretty damn strong, it definitely helps you out. Once again, for those of you that may not have it, it is in the general loot pool. I recommend farming Countdown. They seem to drop like crazy there. And you can see with my attributes, and this goes for pretty much every single piece that I have, I want to run either armor regen, explosive resistance, and when I can add something, I'm always adding protection from elites. Next, my friends, we have the knee pads, and these are the Murakami named knee pads Emperor's Guard. Now, these are a PvP exclusive. However, you can get them from named caches, so again, farm Countdown, earn resources, buy those caches, hopefully you get lucky. Now, this has 1% extra armor regen, and I also have 10% hazard protection on there. Honestly, I wish that was explosive resistance. Now, if you do not have these in the meantime, I suggest rolling a third piece of Bellstone on there because that is going to give you another 20% incoming repairs. Moving on to the gloves, they are the second piece of Richter and Kaiser, which gives us a 10% explosive resistance. Now, I got these yesterday. It was the perfect drop, totally god rolled. I mean, I maxed out the core attribute, but you can see this dropped with maxed out armor regen and maxed out explosive resistance. That's exactly what I was looking for, so it happened to be perfect for this build. And finally, my friends, we have the backpack, which is our second piece of Bellstone, and obviously you have a lot of options here. You can use the memento if you want, and really the main reason I chose this was not only for that 10% armor on kill, but mostly because of the attributes. Again, armor regen, explosive resistance, and like I said, every empty mod slot I have, I'm adding protection from elites. With that being said, my friends, let's make our way to some of the stats. And the first thing I really want to go over is the whole aspect of protection from elites. So right now, I have the only ones I have in my inventory are 12%ers. I still have not found one that is 13%, and that's in farming nonstop. But again, so I'm basing this on 12% protection from elites. I have 3 equipped. However, like I mentioned before, if you wind up changing your specialization to survivalist, that will give you an extra 10% protection from elites as well, and that would bring us up to 46%. And one thing, as most of you know, you also have the option of crafting improvised gear. So you can craft an improvised holster, knee pads, and gloves. And with that, even though they don't have a brand set bonus, they will have a mod slot on them. Now keep in mind, in order to get the perfect one, it's going to take a lot of crafting. Like you'll see here, I actually got really lucky. Honestly, I've never really had any luck crafting stuff whatsoever. But you'll see in the third or fourth one, I got a holster that I would definitely use for this build because I can wind up adding another 12% protection from elites to it. So if you wind up using all 3 improvised pieces, it means that all 6 pieces of gear are going to have that 12% protection from elite mod on there. That equals 72%. And when you add the survivalist specialization, that will add an additional 10%. Now remember, the max is 80. That puts you at 82, but that's still fine. You're totally good to go. Now again, as I said before, it's going to take you a lot of work to try to get all the pieces you're looking for that are improvised, that are decent, but it is definitely possible. And you'll see here, for instance, this roll on the holster is perfect. All I'm going to do is change that crit hit damage to explosive resistance. Now for those of you that do not have the Murakami knee pads, I recommend either using that third piece of Bellstone or trying to craft an improvised piece that kind of falls along these lines, because that way you can get that armor regen, explosive resistance, and add some protection from elites as well. As far as my skills go, I'm using the Artificer Hive as well as the Bulwark Shield, and again, you have other options here. Try out different things. Something else may suit your gameplay a little bit better, but I do recommend for those of you just jumping into legendary difficulty to give this combination a shot, because it really does help with your survivability. And as I start to wrap this thing up, most of you know by now that one of my favorite aspects about putting these build videos together is the family that we have at the channel. So as always, if you have any tips or tricks you want to pass along to new and returning players, please let me know in the comments section, as the main goal is to try to help out as many people as we can. The other thing I'd like to point out really quick is I am absolutely terrible using a handgun. And it's funny because in every single legendary build I put together, and this has to do with a tank build like this, I always say, next time, I'm going to work on my aim and I'm going to work. I never do. I never work with my handgun. But the point is, the more efficient you become with a build like this, the faster you can clear stuff. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this thing, we do have giveaways here. Our current one is for an Xbox Series S. To enter, all you need to do is subscribe here or follow on Twitter, and the winner will be announced on December 31st of this year. Now, as of my posting this video, which is Sunday, October 16th at 5:15 p.m. Pacific, this is still on sale at both the Clan Vendor and Cassie Mendoza. However, you only have about a day and a half left to purchase these from these vendors, so I recommend getting anything you need before end of day tomorrow, October 17th, because when these are actually for sale, you do not want to miss the opportunity to pick some up. On that note, I'm going to let the rest of the video play out. However, as I mentioned at the beginning of this thing, if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor really quick and hit that like button. You can feel free to subscribe or join as well, but most importantly, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.